Hi, everyone. My name is Rod Faulkner, and I am the founder of the science fiction site, the7thmatrix.com. And we curate and help promote independent online short films and web series in genre entertainment. I'm answering a call put out by Rebecca Theodore, who is one of a group of black women who have done a tremendous job in organizing the opposition online to HBO's new proposed Confederate series by the showrunners of the current hit Game of Thrones. The other organizers include Jamie Broadnax of Black Girl Nerds, Lauren Warren, Chantel Little, and April Rain, who created the Oscars So White hashtag. So I definitely want to give those ladies a shout out and thank them for spearheading and organizing the No Confederate opposition that's been voiced online. For me, the reason that I am in opposition of HBO's Confederate is because I am a Southerner and I still live in the southern part of the United States. The Confederacy still very much has a legacy that is alive and thriving. Whenever I hear defendants of the series say, well, I don't understand why there's so much opposition. There's another art history show on Amazon called The Man in the High Castle, and it imagines that the Nazis won the Second World War. And of course, The Man in the High Castle is based on the Philip K. Dick novel. Let me just say that the difference between The Man in the High Castle and this proposed Confederate show is that the Nazis were soundly defeated during the Second World War. Germany was held accountable by the world for the crimes of the Nazi Party. There were trials held, reparations were made. They actually took responsibility for their part in the rise of the Nazi Party, and they came to terms with that dark part of their history. In the United States, however, no such accountability has this country been held to in terms of 400 years of chattel slavery that was brutal. It provided free labor that helped build the economic foundation of this country, but African Americans were never offered reparations. And people say, oh, yeah, but the Civil War freed you and everything was hunky dory. So you all just need to get over it. Yeah, okay. But there was Jim Crow, segregation, all kinds of micro and microaggressions. Racism is still very much alive and well, and the fight still continues. We have an administration that is trying to undo affirmative action, and people aren't asking why was affirmative action put in place in the first place. It was a course correction because slaves were not allowed to be educated, to read or write. We weren't allowed to vote. So that's why you have historically black colleges, so that we could get education. Nothing was handed to us for free. And that is a prevalent racist stereotype that I'm real tired of. So again, and also let me make another point too, that The Man in the High Castle definitely has its detractors and its critics. You better believe it. So that's the difference. I still live in the South, and every day I see Confederate flags. I see images of the Confederate flags on belt buckles, t-shirts, bumper stickers. There's still statues and buildings and counties and streets named after Confederate generals and lieutenants. So don't tell me that this show Confederate is our history and we just need to wait and see. No, we don't need to wait and see. And no, it's not censorship that we are raising our voice in opposition to HBO's show. Actually, that's exercising our First Amendment rights. Censorship which is wrong, is if we had the power to make it illegal for HBO to create this show. That would be wrong. We don't have that power. But we are, as a consumer, just letting HBO know that no, we don't want this show. We're not going to support it. And we can be vocal in our opposition. Yeah, that's as American as it gets. Being able to vocalize a dissenting opinion, if you have it, having that choice. That's freedom of speech, folks. That's not censorship. My question is to all those who defend Confederate, why? Why do you want to see African Americans like me enslaved in the modern day when you still have the school to prison pipeline, you still have the police who are murdering innocent African Americans and not being held accountable, and you see that almost on a daily basis, incidents of Black people being killed? It's almost like it's state-sanctioned violence. It probably is. No, we're in a very, very precarious place in our nation's history, and this show is a white supremacist wet dream. Folks, representation matters. Images in media do affect people. And I can only imagine the kind of cosplay that will come out of a show like Confederate. No. And when I think about young African American boys, girls, men, and women who will have to watch images of themselves being enslaved in the modern day, no thank you. No Confederate. No Confederate. No Confederate. And if you need a show showing African Americans being enslaved to have empathy, well, there have been countless slavery narratives, documentaries, books that are available to you literally at the touch of your fingers. All you have to do is Google it. Then that's on you. And that says something that you would even think that. Yeah, this is going to spark conversations about slavery, having a show like this. Black people have been trying to have this conversation from day one, but no one is listening. If you really want to learn something, go to Twitter or Facebook, put in #NoConfederate, and listen to what opponents are saying. Not just have a knee-jerk reaction based on your limited worldview and privilege. That's a challenge. So again, I want to thank the organizers of No Confederate for this opportunity to put this on video. Sorry I was so long-winded, but HBO, you make terrific shows. Go back to the drawing board with this one. Come up with an out history show that doesn't imagine African Americans enslaved. That would be a start. Thanks again.